Hey guys, welcome back from Classic Work. Got another good one for y'all today. Sorry if I sound cold, it's bad cold. Anyways, got a good treat for y'all today. Most of y'all, well, some of y'all probably know that I have a Big 40 milder. Now the Big 40, if I'm not mistaken, was the answer to Lincoln's SA200 welder. It's got the same motor on it, a lot of the same components. The biggest difference between these two welders are this is a DC generator only. This is an AC generator, but it's got DC rectifiers on it. So, I don't know much about the Millers. I know a lot more about the Lincolns, but we're going to give this a stab and see if we can't get it to work. Now, I had it running back in the summer. It's not running now, so we're going to have to run through it real quick and see if we can get some fire going to it and some fuel and see if it'll fire up. I do remember this about this welder. When I had it running, it was the strongest red seal I've ever heard. So the motor's in really good shape. We just got to get the generator working on it. Now, this welder, like a lot of them that set up, the generators will give problems. Now, a lot of times it's something easy. You know, it's usually a fuse or a rat's chewed a wire into or something like that, but not all the time. So I'm going to show y'all how to diagnose a welder that won't weld anymore. You might have one that has something similar to this. So they're actually pretty simple. It's getting really difficult to find parts for them now, and there's absolutely no videos on YouTube showing how to fix these things. So I'm going to give it an attempt and show y'all exactly what's going on. A few things before we get started. What it's doing, or what it did before, was it would run, it would generate power, meaning it would generate 110, but it would not weld. So hopefully if I pull it back out, we'll give it all the same tests that I did before, and I'll show you what it's doing. So hopefully it'll be something easy and stupid to fix. So we'll give it a shot. Finally got a little heat coming in here now. It's cold. I think my phone said it was 34 degrees Fahrenheit. But that's Mississippi cold now. That ain't like normal. That's about 0 everywhere else. Alright. I got the choke cleaned up. I don't know if the carburetor's gonna need cleaned or not. We're gonna try to fire without it. Battery's charged up pretty good, so I'm gonna spin it over a couple times. One thing about these old Red Seal Continentals, I've seen a few of them, but very few will crank on ether. So if you try to do it like that, they don't normally work. Well, some of them do. I have seen that too. We're going to try it without it and see how it goes. And we'll spin it over a little bit and see if we can get it to crank up. Alright, checked the fire, wasn't getting any fire. Had to clean the points, the rotor cap, and I think that's about it. Finally getting fire. It's kind of weak. I don't know why, but we're going to give it another shot. We'll give her a little snuff of ether and see if she'll fire off. Remember, on ether, don't have your choke on, and get it spinning before you shoot something in. We got it hit though. Means that that's working. I'm gonna check the fuel. Might take this hose off too. Get a little more air in there. These red seals, when they sit, they ticky. I know that. They are really ticky. Alright, we're gonna try it again. Battery's charged up a little bit more. Got the breather hose off. It's one thing I hate about battery chargers. Even if you got them on jump mode, a lot of times they ain't got the power to stick in them. I may have to jump it off. Okay guys, I'm going to go over a few things real quick. I finally got the old machine running. It took a little bit of doing, but I've got it now. Now, the next thing is, what I was going to show y'all is a very, very common problem on welders. They sit up for a long time, and they may generate power, but they won't weld. Sometimes they won't even generate power. Now, luckily for this machine, it is generating power. I'll show you that in just a second. It's got a couple things that's wrong with it. When you plug a grinder into it and you hit the grinder, it won't rev the engine up. So you're only getting high voltage when the engine's sitting here idling. The idler control, something's not working right on it. It's supposed to, when it gets load on it, it's supposed to kick it up. So I think that's been recent, because before I think it would rev up. So sitting around here hadn't done it any good. But anyways, the engine sounds really, really good. I'm gonna crank it up for y'all and let y'all listen to it. And I'll do the grinder test, which is you just plug it in. You don't have to have a voltage meter or anything like that, just to see if it's generating power. Now, this is a big 40. Now, the big 40 is an AC generator. That's a lot different than an SA200, which is a DC generator. They're completely different, so don't think that they're the same. There's a lot of different stuff going on. So I'm gonna crank the machine up, we'll do the test, you'll get to hear it, sounds real good. It's a strong red seal. Grinder. Gas not picking up. Rev up. Does mean we're getting current though. Now this is the business end. Look, we're not getting anything. Okay? No sparks, no nothing. Normally, you'll get something. If I rev it up, now you might be saying to me, oh, well, your cables are probably dirty. You probably got a bad connection. I've tested the voltage on them. They are getting voltage to them, so we should be seeing something. So we know that our brushes are working in the generator, because we wouldn't have AC power if they didn't. As far as I can tell, they're working fine. I'm getting 110 volts. I've tested the auxiliary and everything. But something is going on, that the generator is generating power, but it's not getting electricity through all the rectifiers and everything to make it weld. So I hope I've diagnosed this thing right, and I'm going to show you what you need to check for. So let's take a look at that. Okay, we're looking down right behind, this here's the fuel tank on this side, right on the front side of the welder. All this right here is what controls your welding, more or less. You've got a big rheostat over here, and this here is a wound resistor. On these machines, this probably gives the most trouble. Usually little critters love to get in there, rats and whatnot, and just tear the wiring all up. And I've looked all over this machine. I can't find any fray wires or any burnt wires. That's usually something too. But we're gonna start our diagnosis right here. I'm gonna figure out and see if we can figure out what's going on. So the easiest thing to test right now is this wound resistor right here. Now this is a big old joker. So how you test them is it got 3 wires on them. You only have to take off 2. So take this back wire off, and then we'll take this front wire off. Okay, now according to the manual on this thing, and some other places I looked up on the internet, this should be showing about 20 ohms. Yeah, roughly, really close. So we'll set our meter here to ohms. Okay. I'll try to put this meter here so y'all can read it. Get in the way where y'all can't see where I'm putting the contacts. Just put one on one side and one on the other. There you go. You hold it till it's still dropping a little bit. The longer you hold it there, the more accurate reading you'll get. But that's pretty close. That's within 2/10 looks like, which that's more than adequate. So I think this resistor should be fine. Now the other problem that you'll run into, the other problem you'll get a lot is from these rheostats right here. Now these, for some reason, they do give a good bit of problems when welders set up. So this is a good thing to check first if you're unsure. If for those that don't know out there, a rheostat is kind of like a valve to give you, for instance, like a water hose valve, like a spigot. The more that you turn it on, the more water you get flowing from like a regular faucet. That's what this rheostat does. What it's doing is it's taking electricity in from the generator, and however much you have it turned up, it sends that current to the, I guess, the exciter coils to give it more power to weld, if that makes any sense. Believe it or not, this is the fine-tuning rheostat right here, but it controls this big board over here too. It's kind of funny how this thing works. It takes a small amount of current and turns it into a big amount of, well, sends a signal that turns it into a big amount of current. So it's kind of interesting how it works. But we're going to test this, and what you're supposed to see is when you ohm it out, on this particular one, it'll go from 0 to 34 ohms. And if it doesn't do that at any point, if it skips, or if it just, you know, it's a dead short, then it's bad. And I don't know any way to fix it, but you can still buy these. So I'm going to take the contacts off here and number them and mark them, and I'll show you what it's supposed to look like and what this one may not be doing. Okay, I'm going to show you how I've got my voltage meter rigged up here. We've got one leg here plumbed into the back side of this rheostat, and then I've got the other one on a jumper cable right here going to the center. So that's how you test them. I don't know if that makes any sense to you, but there's the center one, there's the lug on the left. You can do either side, it doesn't matter. They'll both give you the same result. So let me focus in on the multimeter and show you what's going on. Okay, now for one, that's way too freaking high. It should be around maybe 22, something like that, but if I turn it, you'll see it loses connection and it jumps around. But it's not supposed to do that. Not saying we found our culprit, but it's looking pretty close. But see, it's right there, the way it's acting. I think that's okay. But see, then immediately it jumps. Yeah, something's got a short in it somewhere. 67, it was 15. So yeah, it's not supposed to do that. I'll show you what it's supposed to look like. Okay, I've got the new rheostat up here. I've got it hooked up exactly the way I had the other one, getting a nice solid reading. Now if I turn it up or down, it's supposed to be nice and smooth. Go all the way to 34 ohms. It's wide open. 34 and 7/10. That's still not bad. So, and it should go all the way down to 0. Further down I go. There you go, 0.2. So that's the way it's supposed to act. And when you stop on one, it's supposed to stop. 17, there's 21. 30. Okay, so that's what it's supposed to do. So we know without a shadow of a doubt that the rheostat that's on there is something's wrong with it. Is that the culprit? Hopefully so, but it may not be. So we'll take it off. Changes. Alright, I'm excited. Let's see if this joker's gonna work. We got the new rheostat on. I got it set on about 50. Let's give it a try. Might be a little choke. Run for me. Oh! Yes! It went. Yes! Success! Woo! Fixed it. Hell yes. Never been so excited to get arc flash in my life. Oh god, sorry I wigged out there. That's awesome. You don't know how long I've been fighting this joker. So yeah, I'm gonna set up a little test piece, I guess, and see and try out a couple of welds. See how she does. It was a really, really weak arc, but I think warm the engine up and give it a little bit of time and get my settings right. I think it's gonna be fine. So let's run it through our paces real quick and see what we got. Man, this is awesome. This is awesome. not bad. Not bad at all. Okay, let's look at some welds real quick here. Now, this one right here was a horizontal fillet weld. And it's a little out of uniform, but I mean, it penetrated. It burned in there just as good as my SA200. Now, the biggest problem I had was the amp settings were not right. According to what I'm reading over here, that was like 210 amps that the machine put that in at. Now, I know that's not right because that was only a 332nd rod. It'd have burned the ever living heck out of it if it was like that. But I think most of it's to blame because the engine wasn't spinning fast enough. On the SA200s, they need to run about 1550 on the RPMs, and it sounded like it was barely over 1200, maybe not even that fast. So I welded with it. It was uphill. The hotter it started to burn. I had to turn it down at one point. So I think it more or less it's breaking itself back in. So I imagine you set on that thing and burn probably 5 pounds of rods on it, it'll probably bring it back to where it's supposed to be. So very, very impressed. Oh, guys, I'm excited. This is something I've been wanting to do for a long time, and I would have done it a long time ago if I knew it was going to be relatively that easily done. But it's been a journey. It took me a long time to get it to where it is today, and it's still got a lot wrong with it. But for you guys out there that have had problems like this, you may have to go in it deeper than I did. Unfortunately, I got pretty lucky. Now, there's other things that you should check first if yours is having the same problem. The very first thing that I would check, if you didn't have any auxiliary power, is check the brushes. On this welder, it's got like slip rings on it that where the brushes ride. A lot of times dirt daubers and stuff will get up in there and make the brushes separate from the rings. So I'll show a picture of that to show you what I'm talking about. But check those first. And there could be a bad connection somewhere. There's a lot to them. It really is. So you may have to do more research than what I just showed you. But if it's only just a little bit deep, then that's where it's going to be more than likely. Now, I've said this before earlier, I've got an SA200 to tear down into, and it's got to go in deep. So that'll be a fun one to do. That's going to be a later project, but I'm going to get it going just the same. Well guys, I'm excited. I'm going to wind up putting this big 40 on my welding trailer. I've been needing a spare for a long time. And I'm going to have to take hers off my truck one day and fix some oil leaks it's got on it. It's getting pretty bad now. But anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. Let me know what you think. Please like, subscribe to me if you hadn't already. And guys, I will see y'all next time. Y'all take care from Classic Work.